Hello, everybody. Welcome. Episode 18, if you can believe it, of 25 with Tech 25. I'm Tim Higgins, Secretary for Tech 25 here.
All right, I'm Andrew Benton, Data and Systems Specialist.
Chris Fano, Director of Technology. Welcome everybody back from spring break.
Spring break. Yeah, spring has sprung and spring break is done. Pull it and we don't even know it. And
early.
so we figured, let's talk about a little spring cleaning, staying organized, getting organized, and just generally cleaning stuff out that you never, just like the dusty closets at home that you might not ever think of cleaning out on your computer. So we're gonna just kind of jump right on into it. And in fact, we're gonna try something new. We'll see if this works. We're gonna start off by rolling a video in here. I guess we start with a video every time, but a specific video for good reason that was made specifically for this. So one thing I did over spring break while all of you teachers and staff were away on break, we were here in the office. And I'm not complaining. It's the greatest week ever because I was able to sit down and go from paper to digital with everything that I had here. And I was kind of going to show you that process because it's just nice to not have to worry about just stacks of paper all over the place, binders filled with stuff that that you might not really need a hard copy, or if you do, if it's digital, you can access it anywhere, you can print it out, all of that sort of thing. So I think there's a lot of benefit to it. And everybody actually has a great tool in their building to turn all of your paper hard copy stuff into digital files, and that is your Ricoh copiers. Those are set up specifically so that you can actually scan to email. And we've talked about this in the past, but I made a little video to kind of show you the process of how that goes. So we're going to start with that, and then we'll kind of talk about the process from there. Got to fix the sound first.
Yeah, somebody text us if it's not working.
And I know our general sound is, but and actually this is a good thing. If you're ever not hearing sound from a video or from Skyping or something like that, if you come up here to your system preferences under sound, you can try to get to the bottom of where your sound is or is not actually coming from. Let's give this another try. Hit OK. Once you're there, make sure that the spelling's correctly. And then you can hit start. It will pull them through one at a time, scanning both sides, and it'll send it as a nice single PDF to your email. Awesome. And so I realized that probably the first half of that had no sound. We were able to get it going the second half, but I'm going to post this video with the actual video of this, which is how most of everybody watches this anyway. So if you're watching this on the actual YouTube page, in the playlist right below this is going to be the email scan instructional video. And that's why we try things.
Yeah, and we know that you out there love when that kind of stuff happens to us. We know you do. So we actually plant stuff like that.
Right, so it happens to us too. So essentially that was just kind of running through how you would get paper documents into a digital file. And what ends up happening, and I'm going to share my screen and show you kind of the rest of this process here, is that from there, we see that in email. So I sent that to the Tecker Turtle account, and what shows up is a D25 Ricoh sender which is what we chose in that first portion there. And if we click on that, what we get is an attachment that is just a PDF. It's just a crazy numbered PDF. If you hit the little download arrow, you can download it. It will go into your downloads folder automatically unless you set it to go somewhere else. And we can download it. Or there's that nifty little button here that will bring it actually right into Drive. So if it is just like one specific, like a packet of papers or one sheet that you want to go to a specific place, you can actually send it right to a folder in your Google Drive here. So this is our sort of our Tecker Turtle hierarchy of folders there. So I could send it to any one of these if I wanted to as well. And actually, I guess probably just for training purposes, let's send it to training as well. Okay. So what's happened now is we see that it's downloaded here, but really it has gone to our downloads folder. So if I open the Finder, a little blue-faced guy, and head into my downloads folder, here is the PDF that was sent here. Now, one of the first things you'll want to do, click and rename it scan number 1, or these are just blank forms is what all of those pieces of paper were. And so name it, it's very important. And essentially, really, the way that the downloads folder is supposed to be used is once things are downloaded to it, we want to move it out of there. It's really just a temporary holding place until you can actually get a document to where it needs to go. So in this case, I'm just going to move it out to my desktop since we're working on it. But really, one of the great ways of cleaning out your computer, opening up space, helping the computer speed up, and one of the easiest ways is to come into your downloads folder, and more than likely, it's going to be just file after file piled in here. And what we can do is, using the keyboard, if you hold the Command key and the A, it will select all. You can also get to that from the Edit menu, or rather the File menu, Edit menu. Select all, there it is. Select all. It highlights everything, and then we can just click the delete the trash can. It'll send it all to the trash. So doing that on a pretty regular basis, it's going to help you stay organized. It's going to also just help you find stuff when you download things off of the internet. And so if you were just actually scanning a whole pile of forms that were different from one another, we've talked about our favorite program often here on the program, which is Preview.
Highly underestimated.
Highly underestimated. It's one of the greatest tools that we have here on the Apple computers. And so if we click on this little icon up here, this lets you kind of change between the way that you're viewing your particular PDF or your document in general. And I like to turn the thumbnails on, and it gives you a little tiny version of every page. And so these are sort of my documents that I use as secretary here on a fairly regular basis that I don't want to have hard copy paper anymore. For storage reasons, what I can do is select one. I see that this is the mailbox setup guide, and I can just drag it on over here to the desktop. I can name that phone setup. And here now I have just a single document, one page of that form. I can do that with multiple things. And now all of these documents that were scanned in all together are now individual and ready to be stored either on my computer, maybe in my documents folder, or what I can do is head into my Google Drive. And I can simply drag them into my documents folder that I've already created here inside of Google Drive. We see that we get our little upload window, and now these documents are stored here in my Google Drive for easy access, easy reference. I can print them straight from here anytime I want without having to take up desk space or filing cabinet space. So that's sort of just a simple way to kind of help stay organized without having the hard copy stuff all over the place. Going digital, going paperless, it's the way to go. And so we kind of talked about downloading or deleting the downloads folder, a great thing to do all the time. But another thing that you might want to do from time to time is clean out your browser, clean out the caches, clean out your histories of different things. The way that these browsers work is that when they're interacting with different websites out on the internet, what it does so it can easily access things for you later is it saves things. Cookies is one of the things that word that you may have heard, which is just a tiny file that helps your browser work with the website in kind of a customized way for you, so it's easier, faster, all of that. And so if we come over here to our settings, and we scroll on down to show advanced settings, there's an option here to clear browsing data. So if I click on that, it gives us a whole bunch of checkboxes of different things. So your autofill passwords, just cached images and files and cookies, download history, all sorts of things that your browser keeps track of that you don't necessarily need to have on there all the time. And it's something that you don't need to do every day or every week, even every month. But every once in a while, especially if things on your browser are working slow or not working quite right, you can come down here, you can clear your browsing data, and it will forget about all of that stuff. Great thing to do every once in a while. Another good thing to do, especially this has been happening recently, a problem where Chrome is having trouble displaying PDFs. That's been happening recently. And really we found that the issue there is that your version of Chrome might not be completely up to date. So what happens here is it's downloaded the new version, but it hasn't actually installed it yet because Chrome hasn't been shut down. So you can easily click relaunch, and that will install the newer version to get your PDF viewing up and running. And really any problems that you run into in Chrome, checking to make sure that that is up to date is going to be the way to do it. So that's it for me.
Well, and while we're transitioning, I think you bring up a good point that maybe we can show in a minute. Is that a lot of times updating the version for your operating system or your application may fix some of the issues that you're having as well. And so you always do want to be aware of what kind of version of an application do you have or your operating system. You got to be aware of it. In our school district, it's a little bit different. We have controlled some of the updates. But again, at home on your iPhone, make sure you're running those updates so you have the latest and the greatest.
Absolutely. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Wi-Fi networks, and this is a good spring cleaning. I got baseball on the brain.
Yeah.
Spring cleaning trick, and that is basically to go into your system preferences. You've all been in there, I hope, and you click on network. And when you're on your Wi-Fi, and I'm going to talk about iOS here in a second too, but this is when you're talking about your laptop. You go to Wi-Fi, and then you click advanced down here, and you're going to see a way longer list than this. So in other words, everywhere that you've hopped onto a network, every Panera, every whatever area or hotel or whatever it might have been that you were logged in, it's going to remember, and this list gets very long. Number one, for security, it's important to get off of some of those Wi-Fi and get them out of here. And also, just when you see your little guy spinning up here, looking for networks, it's just a lot harder. It's doing a lot more work. So you want to come in here. These are obviously, because it's this demo machine we're using, they have all legit. I'm not going to delete anything, but what we would have done is clicked on one that is, again, like whatever it might be, Panera or Dunkin' Donuts or something, you just click minus, and so you delete it. So that's a good spring cleaning trick. I was in system preferences. I clicked on network. I made sure that Wi-Fi was selected over here and clicked on advanced. Okay, so we'll talk about iOS in a second with that. I'm jumping over to Gmail real quick. It's obviously a good habit to clean your email out. So we have some people who have 3 things in their inbox at all times because they delete everything as it comes through and they deal with it, where there's people like me who just don't. So one thing that I've learned is that there's a lot of things that we're all getting maybe daily. And so I'm really happy that this TechReturtle account finally has something that we can demo, because I see this popular in your network. You see this is coming to us quite often, and so that's something that I know that I have millions of them. I've deleted them at times in the morning when I see them, but there's a lot of times that I haven't. So I can come up just to search, but I want to go into something more advanced than just saying popular in. I'll hit return. If you just type up there,
Oh, that says we cleaned the
oh, we
cleared
lost.
our,
Yeah,
cleared our cookies, cleaned the cache.
Get us all logged back in.
So I'll just talk it through. Where if I just say popular, I'm gonna get a lot of items that aren't necessarily that sender popular in your network. I might get anything that has the word popular in it. It even searches and indexes attachments and such. And so if I say popular, I'm probably going to get more. So there are a couple of things you can do about that. You can come in. So in this case, it ended up, of course, working out. But you can actually say from, and you can specifically say who it was from. And so you kind of have to know that. But I'm going to say Tim Higgins. There we go. Doesn't just,
Do Rico.
here we go. I really want it specifically.
Yeah, we definitely need to send more mail to this account.
Yeah,
Clearly.
exactly. So I'll go back to popular, and then you can select all of these. So you see from colon. I'm going to show you how I figured that out. You can select all of these, and you can delete them. So if there's something that you know that you're getting all the time, or some from somebody you know you're getting all the time, you can actually also do an or, and then from, and you can start knocking out your New York Times, your whoever it is that some education site that keeps hitting you up every day. You can say from, whatever it might be, or from, and I think you can keep going with that. I think you can get up to more than that. Where I found that is going into help under the little gear over here. And if you just do a search on search Gmail, there'll be a lot more options here. Here's advanced search. That's what this guy is up here. That's what this is. So I'll click on that, and then if I scroll and say open in a new window, you see here's the from and the to. If you guys know the subject, you can get rid of email really quickly that way. A lot of people don't want to just get rid of their stuff by date because they know that they have something from years ago they want to refer back to. They can't just be that sweeping about it. So advanced search, that was just under the help system. And you can find all these different ways that in that box up there, you can do searches. Yeah. So now we're going to AirPlay real quick. We want to make sure that you also think about your own personal devices and your iOS devices in the building. And so in terms of spring cleaning, there's a lot of things we can do there too. So one of the things that you can look at is your storage on your iOS device. So I'm in settings and then general storage and iCloud usage. And here's manage storage. I'm going to click on manage storage, and you'll see all of your apps coming down the right here. You know that on your iOS device you have apps that you're not using. What I like about this one is that, and I'm going to show you the other way you can get rid of apps, which you may know already, but you can see what the heaviest apps are. And so if you see anything at the top of this list, you normally don't have to worry about this stuff in the 2 meg and lower. But when you're at the top of this list and it's something you're not using, I'm not going to do it. But you see delete app is right there. So that was very simply, you're in settings, you're in general, storage, manage. And what I like about this is that you can actually see how heavy some of these apps are. You might know already that if you click and hold on any one of the apps, and I'm really holding it, you see they start shaking and little X's come up on the ones that are allowed to be deleted. You can simply click on one of those X's. That might simply be, hey, listen, I know I'm not using it. So I'm going to go through my screens and I'm going to clean up so I don't have to scroll 14 times. I don't have folders. I can scroll 14 times to delete apps that I'm not using. You hit the home button to get rid of these guys from shaking and to get those X's off of there. Okay, and then really that back to the clearing Wi-Fi. one thing that I've learned is basically on iOS devices, you can't really just go in and clean up. And it's funny because that's the one thing more than your laptop, your iOS devices are where you're taking to all of these places. The one thing that you can do is if you're back on that network, in range of the network, you're able to delete it at that point. If you're really wanting to spring clean and get rid of where you've had your phone on a bunch of different Wi-Fis, you actually can. Let me go back to the beginning. We'll go to settings again, general again, and the very last item is reset. This is actually reset network settings. It's actually the only way to get rid of all of those Wi-Fi things. Yes, it will get rid of, and I'll have you help me here. Yes, it'll get rid of all those Wi-Fi, but you shouldn't be that worried about this. It's actually a nice troubleshooting trick on your iOS device when you're having any sort of network issues.
Absolutely.
It doesn't wipe out your whole life.
Right. So the one thing to be careful about is if you look above it more specifically, is erase all content and settings. That will erase every single thing. It basically puts it to out of the box new. But the resetting network settings is also even more useful on your mobile, like on your mobile device, that's like on your cellular device rather, because that will also delete the listing of the cell towers that it's connected to. And so if you're having some reception problems, that's definitely a way to check that out as well.
That's it. And that's it for me.
All right, well, we've got a couple more things to show you, and actually going off of what Andrew was saying, I wanted to talk a little bit about how to find those huge files on your computer as well. So the last couple items we're going to have here aren't necessarily highly technical, but they do utilize the utilities that are available out there to help clean your computer, make it running fast. The one thing we know, the more information and storage, or the less storage you have available on your computer, the slower it runs. A lot of your computers are fine. They have large enough hard drives, but here are some ways that you can help minimize or get rid of some of those older files. So I'm not going to show you necessarily step by step. There is a free utility called OmniDisk Sweeper that we do support here in the district. You can also use it on your Mac at home. And that's going to do the same thing that I'm going to show you in the Finder, which helps you find large files and then delete them. So that's one option. Again, it's a free download. But in our case, we're going to go to a Finder window. And we're going to select the volume we want to deal with. So right now we want to talk about the student. This is our account. And I'm going to do Command F. When I go to Command F, I'm actually in a find mode for the Finder. And if I drop down here under this kind drop down, you'll see that it says Other. When I go to Other, I get all of these different things that I could find on. So like Andrew was talking about with email, you could look for when was something added, what was the description of it. This can get very advanced searching for your Finder, but what we want to do is go down to where it says file size. And if it's not clicked, you click the checkbox, and now we can say file size, in this case, is greater than. You've got a couple options here, megabytes up to gigabytes. We'll go to megs and just type in 100. And now we can do a find on every file on your computer that's greater than 100 megs. And now it's listed here. Naturally, we're going to get a lot of the programs that we work with, but we can see we have a zip file here. We have a plugin, a couple plugins here. And then we can make some decisions about what we want to delete right from the screen. Drag it to the trash, or we can do Command Delete on the keyboard, and it will throw it in the trash. One thing I do want to say here, and this goes for this whole conversation, is you need to be careful about what you're throwing out. So if you're not aware of what exactly it might be, make sure you ask somebody in your building, or you could search online, because in many cases when you do delete it, it's very difficult to get back. So these things that we're going to show you here at the end, just make sure you're careful with. But again, this is a way to go for large files. You can either use OmniDisk Sweeper or this slightly trickier way in the Finder. All right, so another way that you can keep your computer running is to restart it on a regular basis. But there's also a utility on your computer from the district called Onyx. And when you launch that, you'll have to put in your administrator username and password. And you'll get a little warning screen or a little information screen here. But this is a utility that allows you to run several tasks to help clean and update, or clean and maintain your computer. So we're going to skip the verification of the structure. And really what I want to bring your attention to is this automation button here. So what we've installed, it gives a very specific set of tasks that we want it to do, including verifying the system structure, but most importantly, these maintenance scripts and cleaning out some cache files that are throughout your computer. Under automation, you hit execute. It will run the set of tasks, restart your computer, and you should find that your computer runs a little bit quicker, windows open faster, applications open up faster. So again, Onyx is something you can run on a regular basis to maintain your computer and increase its performance. One other thing that I think is interesting that doesn't get used a lot, again, is another utility called Activity Monitor. So it's in Applications, in your Utilities folder, or you can go to Spotlight and search for it. And what this little guy does in here is it really tells you what is running and what is taking up space, or taking up computing power. So here we can see this is just launched. It gives you a whole lot of information that you may not be interested in. But you can really get a quick snapshot of saying what is taking up the CPU usage based on the actual program. Now, some of this is certainly, there are items that you would not know what there are, that's fine. But you may find sometimes where something is taking up 90, 95, or even over 100% of the computer, the CPU. And in that case, you can go and delete that and maybe restart it. And that would free up some of that CPU for other applications. So again, if something is running really slow, or if your computer seems sluggish, Activity Monitor as a utility can be one thing to help diagnose what might be that issue. So again, this Google Talk plugin, which I'm not going to delete, or which I'm not going to quit the application on this time, is obviously the heaviest load right now, but nothing else is going on in a major way. So again, Activity Monitor is one. The last kind of tool, again, if your computer, again, takes a long time to boot up, or you feel like, it's kind of slow, one area that I would suggest looking at, again, if you go under System Preferences, is what happens when your computer is actually starting up. So in System Preferences, if I go to the Users and Groups section, right here, and now I'm in my account, there may be some other users, but what I'm going to look at is to say, okay, this is my password, but what is logging in when I start up this computer? So here you can see we've got maybe, 8, 10 things that are all starting up in the background that support applications. So things like Dropbox, it helps us, attach the account when we log in. Air Server, that starts when we go. You may have a much longer list than this because many programs will say, do you want me to start up when you log into the computer? All of those do take up some resources. They're running in the background once you start up that computer, and you may not need them. Again, you can go in any one of these, click on it, and you can click on the minus symbol that will take it out. It does not delete the program, but what you need to be aware of is that it does not then load it right when you log into your computer. So again, those are a couple little applications or places to look to help either speed up your machine, maintain it over the long term, or at least from the beginning, get it to boot up a little bit quicker.
Cool. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of time. And so obviously with, as anything, these are just a couple of the different things that we do. If you have any more questions, if you thought, we were going to be covering something in terms of cleaning, staying organized that you wanted to know more about, you can always email us or tweet at us to get those answers. And we, are always looking for topics for these shows. So any ideas, questions you have, send them our way. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, 19.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.